What's up guys, and welcome to the weekly Q&A. Our first question this week comes from Bear, who asks if the Empire ever intentionally did any good throughout the galaxy. And the answer is yes, absolutely they did. Remember, the Empire and even Sidious, they all thought that what they were doing was for the good of the galaxy. They were trying to provide peace and stability, although their methods were definitely questionable, especially Sidious's, but for the most part, the Empire didn't know that they were living under the rule of a Dark Lord, some Sith Lord, like they didn't even know what the Sith were. But if you look at the new canon, and the old canon too, but I'm going to talk specifically about the new canon here, we have characters like Rey Sloane, who joined the Empire because her town was attacked by slavers when she was young. Sienna Rhee in Lost Stars is an excellent example of someone that thinks that what the Empire is doing is good and right and even honorable. And there's a short story about a stormtrooper called TK-462. He joined the Empire because a rebel attack killed his sister. So not only did the Empire do some good, but the rebellion did some bad. And I think the Clone Wars put it pretty well when they said that in any war, there are heroes and villains on both sides. Jimmy Champagne wants to know how far into Season 4 of Rebels I think Thrawn is going to make it. I would guess that he's going to be the major villain of the season again. And call me a broken record, I said it last season, I'm going to say it again. I still think that Thrawn is going to die in Rebels at some point. I think the Thrawn book is going to tell his backstory, but I think Rebels is going to tell us the end of his story at some point. Who knows if it'll be Season 4? If it's going to be the last season, it might be Season 5. I don't know. It's just the feeling I'm getting is that Thrawn will eventually be killed off in Rebels on screen. Now, hopefully, if that is the case, he will be used a little more effectively in the upcoming season and possible future seasons instead of him just kind of letting the Rebels escape over and over. Andy Marquin asks why we didn't see Bo-Katan in Season 3 of Star Wars Rebels, what happened to her, and what plans do I think they have for her in the future. I think we're going to see her in Season 4 of Star Wars Rebels. Back in September when Katie Sackhoff said that she was recording lines for Rebels, we all just assumed it was going to be for Season 3. I assumed that, but they make these episodes crazy far in advance. So when she was recording lines, I think she was just recording lines for Season 4 for an episode that wasn't going to come out for another year. So I do think she will be in Season 4. My guess for their plans is that she will eventually be Mandalore. Sabine has said that she doesn't feel like she's Mandalore and she wants to find the person that can carry the Darksaber. I think Bo-Katan is the best candidate for that because I've said this before, she is a proven warrior and she is the sister of the former Duchess. So not only should she be respected by the warrior class, she would be respected by the nobles of the area. So I think she has a lot going for her. I think she'll eventually be Mandalore. Josh Thompson Productions asks when we're going to get the official title for the Han Solo film, if we're going to see that at Celebration, and what I think the title's going to be. Right now, the rumor is that we're going to get the title at D23, which is in July this year. I think they're going to spend most of Celebration talking about The Last Jedi since that is the closest upcoming film. Personally, I would like the title to just be Solo. I think that makes a lot of sense considering the subject matter, but also the fact that it's a standalone movie. But I have to say that I liked one of my patrons' suggestions and that he thinks it should be, I have a bad feeling about this, a Star Wars story. Andrew asks, whatever happened to Barriss after the Clone Wars, and could we see her in the upcoming Darth Vader comic? Well, we don't really know what happened to her right now, but Dave Filoni has said that her story is not over, so I think we're going to see her again. I agree that she would have been a perfect fit for an Inquisitor. I don't really know why she wasn't the seventh sister, considering they're the exact same species, but they went another direction, and that's fine. Now that you mention it, I hadn't considered it before, but her being in the Darth Vader comic, I think makes a lot of sense, considering her arrest happened near the end of the Clone Wars and towards the time of Revenge of the Sith, and this comic takes place right after Revenge of the Sith, so yeah, I think there's a definite possibility that she could pop up. That's it for patron questions. If you're a patron and you didn't see your question answered here, just head over to Patreon where I left you a written response. If you're not a patron, you can learn more by following the link in the description. Just $1 a month will get you access to some extra Star Wars Explained goodies like archived live streams and monthly giveaways, and the combined donations really go a long way in helping support the channel. On to YouTube questions. Alex Stern asks why the Rebel Alliance insists on bringing GR-75 transports and Nebulan B frigates to battle when they don't really have any combat abilities. I think that's a very valid question. In the case of Star Wars Rebels, which is the most recent time that happened, I think it was more a case of them being in the wrong place at the wrong time. They weren't going to combat. Thrawn brought combat to them. Now, it's possible they might have been used in the fight on Lothal, maybe, but we don't know that. So I'm going to go with wrong place, wrong time. But if we're talking about the battles of Scarif and Endor, yeah, there's not really much of an excuse, except that I think the Alliance was just like, we're going to give this fight everything we got, send everything we have. And those transports, like, they can be modified to have some combat abilities, just not much. I think it was more just out of desperation than anything else. But if you want a boring answer, like a behind-the-scenes answer, I think really it's just that those transports and the frigates, they are easily recognizable as Rebel ships. So to a more casual watcher, if they see this crazy space battle with so much going on and they see that ship, they immediately know what side that ship is fighting on. I think that's kind of the boring answer. It's not the lore answer, but I do think it's true. Han and Boba 310 wants to know how that dude in the bucket on Yavin gets up there. I'm sure there's an elevator mechanism or something on that bucket. It's not like he has to climb a ladder. I'm sure it just goes up and down. You didn't ask what he's doing up there, but I'm going to go ahead and answer that too. He's got, like, that little gun-looking thing is actually a scanner, so it will read any information off of any incoming ship. So when he's pointing that thing at the Millennium Falcon, he's just getting its information, its markings, its number, its name, all of that, which is a more discreet way of scanning incoming ships than some planets would just have a scanner going off at all times, but that could bring unwanted attention to, you know, a hidden Rebel base. Sturfelt asks if the Zillo beast was ever successfully cloned. I don't know that we're ever going to really get an answer on that, but my gut tells me no. It seems like Palpatine's reason behind wanting to clone it was to learn how to make lightsaber-resistant armor for the clone troopers, and obviously we know that that never happened. Griffin Jack Productions wants to know if I think Corellia will pop up in the Han Solo story. It had better be in there. I mean, rumor has it that it will be, and some Spanish news outlet is saying that it's a desert planet, which if that turns out to be true, I'm not going to be happy about it because we have Jakku, we have Tatooine, like, enough with the desert planets. I want to see something new, and in Legends, Corellia was like a normal planet with multiple climate zones, so I guess theoretically this could just be a desert area of Corellia, but I don't want to see that. I would rather see Coronet City, which has already been set up in, like, the Aftermath trilogy as a city and not a desert. So I just hope that we do see Corellia, and I hope it's something new. Vesatron Trash asks if there are video games in the Star Wars universe. I would argue that Dedrick or Holochess is a video game of sorts, and then Rey in Before the Awakening learned how to fly different ships by using a virtual flight simulator. That's kind of a video game. But to answer your question more directly, yes, there were. They were called holo games, and some of them had names like Shronker, Sith Fighter 2, which implies there was a Sith Fighter 1, and Wampa Whacker. So I think a lot of those were just made as jokes, and I'm pretty sure they were part of a game themselves, but technically, yes, there were video games in Star Wars. That's all the time I have for questions today. If you want to ask me something for next week, just put it in the comments below, or sign up on Patreon to be a part of our weekly Q&A discussion. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.